Like, comment, and subscribe.
It was the morning of Eid. A golden glow spread across the sky, and the village had begun to stir with excitement. Everywhere, children were preparing for the special day, bathing, dressing in their finest clothes, and counting the coins they'd saved or received from their parents. There was laughter, chattering, and joyful chaos all around. In one small hut at the edge of the village lived a frail old woman named Amina and her little grandson, Hamid, who was only about 4 or 5 years old. His parents had passed away years ago. Since then, Amina had cared for him with all the love in her heart, sacrificing her own needs to raise him with dignity and warmth. Hamid's clothes were old and patched, his cap was torn at the edges, and he walked barefoot. But there was something extraordinary about his eyes, a quiet confidence, an innocent bravery that made him stand out among other children. That morning, Amina gave Hamid 3 small coins, all she could manage after saving for days. She didn't buy herself medicine or a new shawl for the festival. Instead, she gave everything she had to see her grandson go to Eidgaah with the other boys, so he wouldn't feel left out. Children from all over the village were gathering in groups, showing off their new kurtas, shoes, and caps. They carried shiny coins in their pockets, chattering about what they would buy at the fair after prayers, sweetmeats, toys, and rides. Hamid stood among them, barefoot, hungry, yet smiling.
I'll buy a toy sword. I want a bag of sweet fritters. Let's ride the giant swing.
Hamid listened silently. He touched the coins in his pocket and wondered,
What should I buy? Should I spend it all on sweets or maybe a wooden toy?
After a long walk under the sun, the children reached the Eidgaah. The prayer began. Hundreds of men and boys stood shoulder to shoulder in rows, their heads bowed in devotion. Hamid copied the older boys around him, folding his little hands and whispering his prayers. It was his first time at the Eidgaah, and he felt proud to be part of something so grand. Once the prayers were over, the real excitement began. The boys ran to the fair, eyes wide with amazement at the bright colors, sweets, toys, and spinning swings. Everywhere there were stalls. Cotton candy, sugar dolls, tin swords, spinning tops, whistles, flutes, and colorful clay animals. Children began spending their coins, laughing, shouting, bargaining. One bought jalebi, another got a wooden rifle. Yet Hamid still held his 3 coins tightly in his small fist. He looked at everything but bought nothing. Then something caught his eye. At a corner, beside a blacksmith's shop, he saw something unusual, a pile of iron tongs, rough and heavy, unlike the toys or sweets that sparkled around him. But for Hamid, this was a treasure. He suddenly remembered how his grandmother's fingers would burn when she made rotis. She had no tongs. She used her bare hands to turn the bread on the hot iron griddle. Tears welled up in his eyes. How could he enjoy sweets when his grandmother silently suffered every day? Without a second thought, he approached the shopkeeper.
How much for this tong, uncle?
Hamid placed his entire savings on the counter.
What will a kid do with tongues?
But Hamid was already walking away, proud and happy. As he returned to the group, his friends burst into laughter.
A tong? Really?
Where's your candy?
You could have bought a flute or a toy horse.
Your toys will break by tomorrow. My tong will last for years, and now my grandma's hands won't burn.
His friends fell silent. None had a reply. When Hamid reached home, Amina was pacing outside, anxious. She had imagined him buying sweets, playing with other kids, or worse, crying with hunger. When she saw the iron tongs in his hand, she was shocked.
You bought this? This ugly tong? Couldn't you have bought something to eat, at least?
Hamid stepped forward and said with a wide smile,
Daddy, now your hands won't get burnt when you make rotis.
Amina stared at him, speechless. Her lips trembled. She tried to scold him, but tears rolled down her cheeks. She pulled him into her arms and sobbed softly.
You silly child, you angel, you are wiser than all of us.
That day, the tong became more valuable than gold, more precious than any toy or sweet. It was a symbol of love, thoughtfulness, and selfless care, given by a child whose heart was bigger than his world. Real love is not about taking, it is about giving, even when you have very little. Hamid's sacrifice teaches us the meaning of selflessness, empathy, and the true spirit of aid.